to our General Conference Challenge. I certainly hope everybody's doing great. We are getting ready to kick this off on Monday, the 9th of October. And so what we wanted to do is to start utilizing YouTube and just maybe get some discussion generated even ahead of time with some of the talks and what those are going to look like. So the goal of this would be each week, Saturday or Sunday, sometime that week, I'm going to post a video that says, here's the talks that are coming up for next week, and maybe even share some comments of what was said the week prior about some of the talks. So I'm really excited to use this avenue. But I wanted to use today a little bit just to talk about what the challenge is, because I know some people may be new, how it came about, and what really the goal is of the challenge. So what the challenge is really simple. It is called the General Conference Challenge. It started off as the 40 Days and 40 Nights Challenge. A few years ago, conference kind of shifted, and it got significantly less talks. But back in the day when we first started this, which was in 2010, usually averaged about 40 talks a conference, and so you could make it up to 40 days and 40 nights, which was a fun play on obviously the scriptures and things of that. It was a fun way to do that. But as we progressed and as conference shifted and maybe there were less talks given, we had to change the name because we couldn't fill 40 days with 31 or 32 talks, which is kind of the average of where we're at now. So that's what the challenge is. So each day of the challenge, you'll see when you look at the chart, and here's a quick printout of the chart, but you'll see when you look at it, it has a day, right? And then it has, you're not going to be able to see that. Yeah, it has a day and then a date associated with the day, a speaker, a title of the talk, and the session you can find that talk on. And so, for example, day one, the date is the 9th of October. We already talked about that. That's Monday. The speaker is Elder Bednar. The title of the talk is In the Path of Their Duty, and it was from the Saturday morning session. Now, what we will do is either my wife or I will post that talk on the LDS conference, on the conference challenge page that's on Facebook. We post it at 6 a.m. every morning. We're East Coast time in the United States. So 6 a.m. every morning East Coast time, the talk will populate on the page. What we like to see is you go ahead and listen to the talk, obviously, or read it, whichever really works better for you. And then once you do that, put some comments underneath it. See, the comments is what make this challenge a little bit more fun. It is obviously the challenge of just reading and your own spiritual growth, but it's also being able to learn and grow from other people. So I hope that you'll take a part of that and be a part of those comments. But how did this challenge come to be, right? It's over 10,000 people that are on our page that do this twice a year with us. How did it come to be? And it's actually really simple. I used to be in the military. I was in the Air Force for about 20 years. And during one of my deployments to Afghanistan, I wanted a better way for my wife and I to connect. So we'd been on deployments before, and whenever I'd get to call, we'd just talk about bills, or we'd talk about babies, or we'd talk about whatever, but it wasn't really a connection. And so I had made a very simple Microsoft Excel spreadsheet of all the conference talks. And I said, hey, let's listen to each one of these daily, and then when I call, we can maybe share some insight from the talk, or maybe how we can use that talk to help us. When I got back from that deployment, I got called to be Elders Quorum president. This is back when Elders Quorum and High Priest were still split. I got called to be Elders Quorum president, and so my quorum did it with us. And then the ward thought it was a great idea, so the next challenge, the ward did it with us. Then we moved, and when I moved, I was put into a bishopric, so that whole ward did it with us. And then shortly after that, I ended up being in a high council, and the whole stake did it with us. It was just kind of evolved from there, but somewhere in that process, around 2013, 14, maybe 15, somewhere around there, I think maybe 13, a friend of mine suggested we should put this out on Facebook. We should make a group, and we should have kind of control over who is in the group, so it's not just random people trying to sell stuff, and do the challenge that way. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. And so we started to do that years ago on Facebook. We started off with just a few people on Facebook, mostly local people from the ward and the state that we were in, and then it just kind of blew up from there. And we started getting all of these people interested. And every conference we had more. I even was able to do an article for a podcast called Leading Saints. I was able to do an article for them about this challenge. And so I'm really excited to see the growth of it. But at its core, at the root, it is still just a bunch of us trying to connect, listening to the talks and sharing our thoughts and insight with each other. That is what the whole purpose of this is, regardless of how it started, regardless of how many people we have now. It started, and I shouldn't say regardless of how it started with just two people wanting to better understand the talks and learn how to associate them with each other. And it blossomed into 10,000 people, hopefully still trying to do the same thing. So then, what is the goal? The goal of this challenge always has been and always will be to listen to the talks and to learn from each other. Everything else is secondary. Now, sometimes, and it's only happened a handful of times, people will get in some skirmishes and some disagreements. My wife is really good at that. She actually does the monitoring of the chat. That's why she's tagged in every post. She monitors every chat, and if something kind of gets a little bit out of hand, we'll figure out either a way to settle it or we just delete it. There's been a couple of times where you just have to go to the church handbook to say, I appreciate what you all are saying. Here's what the church does say. But for the most part, it's always been respectful. It's always been fun. It's always been good conversation. We've had people in the challenge who said, I haven't been to church in a while, but I decided to join this challenge, and just being here has helped me. We've had people who were in far off missions and they weren't able to see the conference, and so their mom or their dad would send them notes or send them different things that we've done, send them the conference chart, all sorts of stuff. So it's been an absolute joy to do that. So with that, this YouTube thing and doing these videos, this is a new part. And my daughter has been astronomical in helping me. She created the intro video that you saw. She gave me some tips on all of this. And so what is the point of these? These are going to be happening each week, like I said at the very beginning. I'll let them go on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll probably film them Friday, Saturday, and try to drop them on Sunday. And the point of them will be a review of the last week, maybe just a few things and maybe some cool comments that happened, and then what do we have to look forward to this week. So that's what I want to do for the last part of this video, is what do we have coming up. So the conference challenge is starting on the first day, which is the 9th of October, and we have some really cool speakers lined up. In fact, one of my favorite speakers from conference is going to be on day 4 this week. So the very first talk on Monday is Elder Bednar, In the Path of Their Duty. That was a fantastic talk from Saturday morning. Then the 10th of October, Tuesday, is Jan E. Newman, and it's Preserving the Voice of the Covenant People from Saturday afternoon. Again, great, great talk. I saw a lot in this conference about covenants, but more about, not like the covenant path, more about how covenants connect us and how covenants are about relationships. And that was something I really enjoyed this conference, was it was very much about our relationships with ourselves and with others. The next talk, probably one of my top 2 favorite talks, maybe 3 from this conference, was Elder Uchtdorf. This is going to be on the 11th, so Wednesday. Elder Uchtdorf's talk about the prodigal and the road that leads home. Man, I don't know if you remember that talk, but the way he explained the story of the prodigal son, I saw myself in both parts. I saw myself as the prodigal son, and I saw myself as the son that was stayed home and tried to do the right thing and was jealous of the prodigal returning. He did such a good job with this talk, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that one, because I'm really excited about rehearing it. And now, on the 12th of October, which is Thursday, we get to do my favorite talk from the challenge, favorite talk from this conference thus far, because again, re-listening to him, maybe you hear something different. But my absolute favorite talk was by Tamara Runia, and I may be saying that wrong, so I apologize, Tamara W. Runia, and it is Seeing God's Family Through the Overview Lens. Y'all, she gave this talk on Saturday evening. It was bar none the most commented on when I typed up the notes, the most kind of, that people just seemed to enjoy. It just had a feeling about it. It was so pure. It was so good, and I really, really enjoyed that talk. I hope you do as well. The next talk, I'm going to butcher the name because I'm not good at this part, but it's Christophe, not Christopher, Christophe G. Gerard Carrier. And he's French, absolutely gave a great talk called We Are His Children, and that was the Sunday afternoon session. And then the last 2 talks that we're going to look at that will get us Saturday and Sunday are Joaquin E. Costa, Power of Jesus Christ in Our Lives Every Day. That was Saturday afternoon. Now, honestly, I don't remember much about this talk, but I do remember it was a really solid talk, and I enjoyed it, and I had plenty of notes on this one. And then the last talk for the challenge, week 1 of the challenge, which would be Sunday, the 15th of October, is from Elder Cook. And that talk from Elder Cook was called Be Peaceable Followers of Christ. That talk was done on Sunday morning. Again, just an absolute phenomenal talk. Now, I've always loved Elder Cook anyway. I've always loved the way he speaks. He's one of my favorite speakers. I think Elder Holland and Elder Uchtdorf are probably my 2 favorite. Elder Cook might be number 3, to be honest. So I'm excited to hear that one. So we got a great week ahead of us. 7 talks to listen to. Definitely my probably 2 top favorite talks from conference are in this week, and I didn't even realize I put them back to back. So that's going to be a good midweek relief for me to hear Elder Uchtdorf and Sister Runia speak on two of the best talks I had. So I hope you're as excited for week one as I am. Again, get in, listen to the talks, share your comments, and let's have a great challenge. I hope you all have a fantastic week.